Welcome back to Tarkir, suckers. It's time to throw down, okay? It's been a decade and counting in a set that I know is very beloved by everybody. It's beloved by me. It was my first set in Magic. I think it was Dalton's second. And yeah, we're really just going to talk a little bit about the spoilers that we have so far. Not too much in the archetype realm, but yeah, I'm Blake, and as always, my co-host is Dalton.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing? What are your early
Dalton,
thoughts on this?
you gotta give him a chance to respond.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, they're being timid.
Shh.
Okay.
Go
Well, in any case,
ahead.
yeah, no, this set looks sick,
It looks freaking awesome.
and not like one or two archetypes look sick. It all looks sick.
It does all look pretty freaking sick. Yeah.
Whereas Streets of New Capenna didn't really look like it was angled towards being a tricolor set. Even in the spoilers, I feel like
Yeah.
there were tricolor cards, but not an abundance of them. Not a lot of really good reasons to actually want to go tricolor. Whereas this set, I feel like they've learned some lessons from Capenna, and they're trying to make it like a true wedge set.
Well, they learned some lessons from Capenna, and then they realized they should throw all that out and go look at Big Daddy Tarkir for the real answers. Is what they really did.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for us limited players, I mean, like there's pretty much I can't really think of any set that I would say is definitively better as a draft format than Cons of Tarkir. I think there are some that are you can make a good argument for, but I definitely don't think there's any that I could just say objectively were better.
It definitely hits a sweet spot. I feel
Yeah,
like one of its greatest strengths is you can build any of the decks in it,
any
and
of
they're
them.
all good. Like Marduk's probably the concentrated best deck and
Yep,
best wedge to get into early, but
sure,
it's probably the best by like 0.5%.
sure. Um, and like, and not only can you do all the 3-color decks, like you can do a lot of different 2-color decks within those 3-color wedges.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the fact that there was kind of like a whole deck around the Alpine Grizzly and Savage Punch.
Yeah.
And like you could sit there and play like the Highland Games 2-drop that gained you life when it died. Like that's such a crap card in limited. Even I mean, at the time it was a little better, but even like you look at that time, you were like not that excited about it. But then like you build a deck out of that, it's kind of sweet. Like I don't know, it's just like you said, it hits such a sweet spot. And this
Well,
set,
I feel like.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say this set doesn't feel any different. I mean, it of course, we've definitely got some more modern sensibilities coming into this set. I'm sure everybody's gonna be screaming to the top of their lungs about power creep, seeing Skirmisher Rhino coming in at a whopping 3/4 trample for 3 mana.
At uncommon.
At uncommon, yeah. But I mean, it's just par for the course. Modern limited's changed a lot and over the years, and so Tarkir has changed with it. What do you want to get into first here?
First off, there's a couple of like common nods. Like I said up top, I don't feel like we've seen enough of the signpost, like tricolor and dual color uncommons, to really
for sure
make too much of what the archetypes are trying to do. There's a couple, and we'll get into a few of them. But at the common level, mostly in the monocolored cards, I think Sarkhan's Resolve early on, especially, is the type of card you're just going to want a main deck. It's 1 and a green. For an instant, it has choose 1. And the first option is target creature gets +3/+3 till end of turn, or destroy target creature with flying.
So it's a 2-drop giant growth, or you can destroy target creature with flying.
Or plummet. Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like plummet is almost defensible enough to main deck in this set. Anyways, you main deck it as like a C-, D+ probably.
Probably, yeah.
But with it having the other option for giant growth, I feel like this card's going to play probably close to a C, which doesn't sound insane, but is really, really good for a common, combat trick. It's better than what you'd typically see.
Yeah. Also, just Crater of Behemoth is back. What's up with that?
Yeah.
How good do you think that that's realistically going to be in limited though?
It's still great.
Yeah, the
You're
floor
gonna
is
have
pretty
to build
low
a
on it
deck.
though.
Oh, for sure. You're gonna have to build a deck that can get to 8 mana. I feel like that's the biggest challenge here.
Well, and have
But
creatures on the board when you do too.
yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, it's if you have nothing on the board and you have 8 mana, I feel like you've already lost that game.
That's fair. That's a good point.
But I mean, we're absolute worst case scenario. It's probably an 8 mana 7/7 trampler with haste.
I think how good that card is going to be decided by how board stally this format is. Because at the end of the day, an 8-drop that doesn't catch you up that much can be pretty disastrous. But if everybody, if it's a slow format like Aether Drift is, and there's some board stalls in the late game, it's going to be amazing, right? Because you're just sitting there staring at each other, and that's just gonna. I mean, that just wins you the game on the spot, pretty much.
Well, I'll put it to you like this, Dalton. How good is Pyrowood Gear Hulk?
It's pretty freaking good.
Okay, so it's Pyrowood Gear Hulk for 2 more mana, but it has haste as well,
and it's monocolor.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I agree with you. It's not the type of card you can just put in your deck.
Yeah.
I think if I open my pack one, pick one, and it's a Craterhoof Behemoth or a good like 4-drop rare, not even a great 4-drop rare, a good 4-drop rare, I'm probably taking the 4-drop over it. Because it does require you to be able to get 8 mana. But that being said, even in the Mardu color wedge, which is the aggro wedge of the format, the cards we've seen so far aren't insanely blistering fast, at least not at common and uncommon.
Yeah, I guess a good place for us to start with going over the spoilers would also be just to start with the headliner mechanics. So, what do you think about Omen so far?
I think Omen is going to play well in as much as it's going to hand smooth, but I think people are going to look at it and automatically think it's stronger than it is because they're going to associate it in their head with adventure.
Yeah.
And it is just worse than adventure.
It is just worse for sure.
Like there's going to be a lot of games where, because a lot of the really good Omen cards are good cards. You want to play them as is.
Sure.
But if you play them as the Omen, there's going to be a lot of times where you just never redraw that card.
Right. The one thing that I think is going to be interesting about Omen from a design perspective is that, since it is strictly worse than adventure, they can kind of go a little wilder with the other side of the card, right? They can amp up the power. Because with the adventure cards, if you made that other side too good, like it was just busted in half. Yeah. So I think maybe this might be a good half measure.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be very skill testing too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, do you use your 2 or 3 mana variant to kill your opponent's threat, or do you hold out for your 5 or 6 mana bomb?
Yeah.
Like I think it's going to require a lot of gameplay analysis.
Well, and I don't know how much like playing with the top of your deck there's going to be in this format, and like putting things on the bottom of someone's deck, but like that can start to make it matter more, like in the idea of shuffling your deck, because sometimes that does matter. If you're like, man, I mulliganed and my only out is on the bottom of my deck, I just lose. Like shuffling your deck could be huge, give you an actual percentage chance of winning.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. What do you think of the artifacts, the 2-mana artifacts that go and get you a land of the various clans?
The monument?
Yes, and later, they each do their own individual thing.
So they just get you any of the basic lands and then go to your hand, and then they sack
They each sack for different amounts to make different sorts of creatures.
Sorts of creatures. Okay, so Jeskai is 2 white birds.
1/1 flyers.
And then
Abzan's an XX spirit.
Oh, that's sweet.
3 1/1 warriors, but they are the sack warriors, I think.
I think.
No, let's see. Create 3. No, they're just the flat tokens. They're just better.
Okay. I like them a lot better than I liked the monuments in the previous sets, and
I agree.
the banners in the previous sets.
I think they're actually going to play decent.
I do too. Yeah. And I
Not
mean
great.
the banners played okay in original cons, but original cons was so slow that it kind of allowed for that.
Yeah, I think that time's gone.
Oh,
What
for
do you think
sure.
about Embermouth Sentinel?
Let's see. And
2
this
mana,
is go ahead.
2/1 artifact.
Huh?
When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top, which is something we see a lot. But the second line of text is if you control a dragon, put that card on the battlefield tapped instead.
It's probably okay.
I think it's probably okay as well. I think a lot of it's going to boil down to whether or not we see some one-drop dragons in the
Yeah,
common and
that's what I was
uncommon.
thinking. Maybe there'll be like some like Dragonborn type
Hmm.
people, you know, like little
Because if
dragon
that's the
people.
case, then that card goes way up.
Oh, it sure does.
Because
Yeah, no, it
going
absolutely
turn
does.
2, play a 2/1 that also ramps you, doesn't go get a land and put it in your hand, puts it onto the battlefield
Well,
at common.
yeah, exactly. And that's another card I wanted to bring up was Mox Jasper, because I think Mox Jasper is probably going to be rancid everywhere
Yeah,
you could play it,
yeah.
like even in constructed formats, unless they come out with, like you said, some really like early drop dragons.
Hmm. Really just need 1 or 2 solid one-drop dragons,
Yeah, yeah. And
and
those
that would get
both of
it.
those cards go way up if that happens.
Yeah. Because again, in limited, if say you're on the play, you go one-drop dragon into two-drop 2/1 that ramps you, your win percentage flies up.
Imagine if you go one drop dragon into Mox Jasper turn to play a 3 drop.
Yeah, but my thing is, I don't think I'm ever taking Mox Jasper over anything in the sea level. In the draft, I just don't think it's ever going to happen.
What about you already have like 1 and 2? You have a couple 1 and 2 drop dragons already.
I still think I'm taking it at like a C- level. Because how often are you going to have it and one of those dragons in your hand early enough for it to matter?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah, so Mox Jasper is probably just rancid no matter what.
While we're on this topic, what do you think because eventually we'll do an episode where we rate all of the various cards, but
Yeah.
what do you think Ugin's going to play as?
A minus at least.
You think he's in the A- range?
Well, the thing is, you get an exile, just you get spotted that for free, like,
For 7 mana
and you get to gain 3 life
and
on the
draw a card.
spot if you need to, or if you have a colorless spell, you can just make
Which
the mana
it's
to
not
cast it.
likely that it's not likely that you will. It's not like there's
No,
a
it's
dearth
not.
of
No,
colorless spells
that
running
we know
around.
of. Yeah,
That's where it boils down to for me. Like,
right.
how highly do you rate a 7-drop that is essentially just exile whatever permanent you want,
I don't know
and you
how
gain
much
3
do you
life and
like
draw a card every turn?
how much do you like Max Jasper once you have an Ugin on the field?
I think at that point the monuments are really what you want.
Hey, you're not wrong. But
Yeah, no.
still,
If you
zero
ever
drop
get a second
Vindicate.
trigger off of Ugin and you lose that game, something's wrong.
Yeah, you built your deck wrong, probably.
Yep.
How
Because
do
they're
you?
never going to kill the Ugin, unless they have like a hard removal spell. They're never killing it. You're never ever going to zero it, and you're never going to -11 it, not unlimited. But I mean, you're always going to +2 it. It's going to hit the board, and it's going to go to 9 loyalty.
Yep.
You're going to gain 3 life and draw a card every turn for the rest of the game.
Yep.
So
So
I'd say it's probably B+ A- level.
I could see that. Yeah. What do you think about Jade Cast Sentinel? I really just it's a 4 mana 1/5 artifact creature ape snake with
Yeah.
reach, and then tap two and tap it to put a card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. Usually
no
when
go.
they put cards like this in the set, it piques my interest just a little bit, because I always think back to those sweet graveyard decks where you could do a little loop de loops and like keep refreshing your deck and get a higher card quality. Of
Yeah.
course, it usually doesn't play out in a modern limited set that way. But every time I see one, I just hold out hope just a little bit. But also, I
I
wanted to
do
bring it
like that
up,
it has reach.
right? I also just wanted to bring it up though because it's an ape snake, and I think that's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Like,
It is kind of cool.
isn't it? Like, I've never seen someone combine those two creatures before. Um, so we also have a cycle of cards with hybrid mana costs, and you talked about how you liked how they did the hybrid mana costs. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so essentially, I mean, I like the fact that if you are in a ramp deck and you're not in any of the colors of those cards, you can still play them in your deck. You can pay 6 mana for them. It's a bad deal, but it can be done.
And to
Which
be
means if
clear,
you're
each of those colors are costed the way they did hybrid mana in this set, or with this cycle specifically, is you can either pay the color of mana. They're all 3-color cards with 3 pips, but each pip that you don't want to pay, you want to pay colorless instead. It costs 2 instead of 1.
mm-hmm.
So it's upcharging you for flexibility.
Yeah, I think they're really going to boil down to how good they are independently. Like Rakshasa's Bargain, if you're ever in 2 of those colors, I think you're playing it.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to be in all 3 of them because it's just good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, really good card.
Yeah.
It's a much better Anticipate.
Sure.
Or what's a better... Anticipate's not a good comparison. But I mean, you get to draw the 2 best cards from the top 4 of your library for 3 mana. And you get to put the rest in your graveyard if you care about that. Which, if you're blue-green in any capacity, you will. Because you're either Sultai or Teamer, which both care about the graveyard this time around. I think Teamer, though I'm not a huge fan of it being a spell-slinging, more spell-centered clan this time around, I do like Harmonize. I think Harmonize is going to play quite well. All the Harmonize cards that we've seen so far look pretty great. I mean, they essentially all just have flashback for more expensive, but in a lot of cases cheaper because you'll have creatures to tap for them.
Yeah, and to be clear, Harmonize is you again, you get to cast it from your graveyard, but you can tap a single creature and reduce the Harmonize cost's colorless portion by the power of that creature.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Mobilize?
I think Mobilize is going to be quite strong.
Yeah, it looks really strong.
That being said, the vast majority of the reasons I've seen to like really go into the go wide deck are rares so far.
Fair.
I haven't really seen, not that we won't, but we haven't seen, a ton of commons or uncommons that are really juiced.
Yeah.
I mean, white has a common 2-drop, the Fortress Kinguard, the 2-mana 1/2, and when it enters, it endures 1, which is you either put a counter on it or you create a 1/1 white spirit creature token. You're almost always going to create the token.
Yeah.
So I can see go wide being a strategy. Like I said, Mardu decks are the ones that seem to want to do it the most. I'm sure Abzan decks will do it a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like we're going to have to see more spoilers before I decide whether or not I feel like this is going to be a fast format.
Yeah.
As of right now, it seems like it may be angled towards being a little bit slower.
Sure. I don't think it's going to be as slow as Aether Drift, though.
I don't know. A lot of it'll really depend on how good the mana fixing is.
Yeah, that's true.
If the mana fixing is good enough, I feel like more people are going to trend towards 3-color decks.
Sure.
And naturally, as a result of that,
it's going to slow down.
The games are going to go slower.
That's fair.
Also, outside of Mardu, I haven't really seen a reason to be aggro.
While we're talking about Mardu and Mobilize, that Zergo is busted in half.
It's really good for 3. It's the fact that it's 3 mana.
Yeah, and all of your Mobilize no longer sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
They just stick around, which is kind of
there are some cards that seem to want to have the sacrifice element of the Mobilize cards.
Yeah.
Like there's the Yathan Tomb Guard at uncommon. It's 2 and a black for 2/3 with menace. And whenever a creature you control, or no, not that one. There's another creature that whenever a creature there it is. Venerated Stormsinger.
There you go.
It's 3 and a black for 3/3 with Mobilize 1. And it has whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So it wants you to sacrifice your mobilized creatures to drain your opponent. But yeah, with Zergo, if you ever get to swing more than, really more than once.
Yeah.
Like if you get to swing once, your opponent's already way on the back foot, and it's hard to block it. If you're on the draw, your opponent plays that turn 3, which will be hard for them to do. But say they do, if you don't have an immediate removal spell, you're pretty scared.
So
and it's just a rare. It's not a mythic, so you're going to be seeing it relatively frequently.
Yeah. So 2 enchantments I want to talk about. The first is interesting, but I don't know if it's gonna be good. It's the Sibsig ceremony.
Yeah.
It's black, black, black for a legendary enchantment, and it says when a creature you control enters, if you cast it, destroy that creature, then create a 2/2 zombie druid creature token, and all creatures you cast cost 2 less to cast.
Yeah, I don't think it's good.
I don't think it's good either.
And it's triple black.
I
Like,
really want to be
even
proven
if it was
wrong
good,
though.
the triple black really breaks you. I think some people are going to break that card open.
Uh-huh.
In Commander, for example, I've already seen a
Sure, of
couple of
course.
infinite combos that people have come up with for it. Which
Yeah,
like that's always neat.
that is always neat.
But no, I'd avoid it like the plague in limited.
Yeah,
If
I
it
probably
was
would
2 and a
too.
black, maybe you could
Mm-hmm.
try and find some, Sultai recursion deck that would kind of like it.
Yeah.
But triple black is absolutely brutal for a card that a lot of times is going to be detrimental.
Yes.
See, if this was symmetrical, now we're
Right.
talking.
Exactly.
Now we're talking. Whenever
But
any creature enters the battlefield, if it was cast, destroy it, and
that would
they
be
make a
wild.
2/2. Yeah. Then it'd be weird, but maybe you could pull something.
Well, and here's another enchantment that's probably also an F is Draco Genius or sorry,
Or
Draco
Genesis.
Kinesis or Draco Genesis. Jesus.
Old Draco Genesis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
no, don't put it in your deck.
Yeah, it's
8
8
mana
mana.
is insane.
Yeah, it's 8 mana, and it's basically omniscience for only dragon spells.
Yeah, again, cool card. I'm sure it'll see something in Commander.
But
But
just
even then,
F.
a lot of the talk around it I've seen is people being like, "This is too much.
Sure.
2 mana more. You've got an omniscience, and everything's free."
Yeah, even in Commander, that's not even that good.
Mm-mm.
Moving on though, do you think the Storm Dragon is going to be good? The Storm Scale Scion?
I think the thing is you have to cast another spell before it.
Mm-hmm.
If you cast any other spell before it, it's a bomb.
Yep.
6 mana for 2 5/5s.
Yep.
That also give all your other dragons +2/+2 is a bomb.
Yep.
It plays a lot like that dragon from original Dominaria. That was a 4-drop, but if you kicked it for 3, you got a copy of it or a clone. It was a legendary version of it, and you got 2 4/4 dragons for 7 mana.
Yeah.
And that's what it would play exactly like. You'd have to have 1-drops in your deck though. I don't think I'm taking it early. I think I'm probably taking a really good uncommon or a decent rare over Stormscale Scion early.
Agreed.
It's not a card that won't ever do the thing, and sometimes it'll really do the thing.
Yep.
Like if you top deck it late game, or you're building a plan around this, or ramping
And
your
you
way to it,
cast
and
2
you
spells before it.
if you cast 2 spells before it,
You're-
and you lose
you-
that game, something's wrong.
Yeah.
'Cause then you're getting 3 6/6s,
Yep.
and they're
crazy.
flyers, and all your other dragons also get +3/+3. Like if you can pull that off, go for it.
Yeah.
But more often than not, I think it's just going to be a 6 mana 4/4 flyer.
Yeah.
That gives an anthem to your other dragons.
Yep. Which
And that's
may or may not be
not
good.
good enough. Yeah, I don't feel like we've seen enough good dragons at common and uncommon
No,
yet
exactly.
to really justify that sort of build around.
So I also really like the cycle of devotees.
Yeah.
They're really nice, especially on top of the cycle of monuments.
Yeah.
So each of these are they all 2 mana? Let's see.
No, the Mardu one is the
That's
white
right.
one
It's
is 1 mana.
Yeah.
And one of them is 3 mana, I believe.
But they're all
and then 3 of them are
monocolor
top.
on their base, and they basically mana filter for an entire wedge.
Yes.
And then they come with a mechanic on top of that. So like the red one, Jeskai Devotee, has Flurry. Flurry is a new mechanic, right? I think it
Yes.
is. So
It's it's a mechanic they've had in the past, but they finally gave it a keyword.
They gave it a keyword, okay. When it says when you cast your second spell each turn, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
And that's the Jeskai Wedge's
Yeah.
like staple mechanic this time around, which I quite like. I think, from what we've seen so far, all the flurry cards, the reward is quite good. But
Are all of
casting
them
2
+1/+1
spells in a turn.
until end of turn, or is it just do X? after
It's
you.
do X.
Oh, okay, okay, that's
Yeah,
better.
so like Tygom, he's a mythic, so you won't see him as much, but you will see him. But he's 1 in a blue, 2/2. He has Flurry, and whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it, then exile the original spell you cast with 4 time counters on it. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend.
That's so cool.
So if you're able to double spell with Tygom on the field, you'll get your card up front basically because you'll get the copy, and then if you can survive 4 turns, you'll get it again for free.
I love it when they find ways to bring back old broken mechanics that they don't want to print again in
it's like a
roundabout ways.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny to me because, like, you know, suspend is an absolutely obnoxious limited mechanic, but this is a cool way to use that mechanic in a way that isn't obnoxious.
I would say going in, the dragons are kind of the staple of the set. The spirit dragons are the main staple of the set.
Yeah.
And I would, unless I'm already in Mardu, I would not go out of my way to take Nariv. I don't think I'm taking it pack one, pick one most times.
Yeah.
Of the spirit dragons, because I mean 4 mana for a 4/5 flyer is good. That's good on stats alone, but it puts you in a wedge.
Yeah.
And very seldom is the second part of its ability ever going to come up in limited. It'll happen, but very seldom. Same with Taval. Taval's really, really good. Play it carefully. Whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. It racks up quicker than you think. It's not whenever you cast a spell with Delve. It's whenever you cast any spell. That being said, it's 5 mana for a flying lifelinker 6/6 that gives all spells you cast Delve. So it is very strong, but be careful. Baitor is weird, but actually will probably play maybe the best out of the dragons.
Yeah.
Simply because 5 mana for a 5/7 flyer with that ability. I mean, you're almost always going to be drawing a card at your instep off of it. If you have any other creature on the field with 3 toughness, you're at 10. I don't think you're in limited too often going to be hitting 40 toughness on the field and not just already
No.
having won that game.
No, absolutely not.
And the 20 toughness one, I guess giving all your creatures vigilance is kind of nice, but
Yeah.
Not really worth too much. Urini, I think, is my favorite, and then Shiko is going to be very consistent as well.
So as far as like headliner commons that you're looking at, like commons that stick out to you as like possible top commons, you thinking about any of those so far?
Yeah, a couple. We haven't seen a ton of commons yet. We've seen quite a few uncommons of note, but the commons of note, I would say, in black, Caustic Exhale, black for an instant, and it's as an additional cost to cast the spell, behold a dragon or pay 1. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. That's probably, if not black's top common, it's going to be black's top 3 commons.
Yep, and to be clear, behold a dragon means that you either reveal it from your hand or control one. It's another instance of them giving an old mechanic a keyword.
Yeah, and there's going to be enough dragons running around in this set where I'd say probably between 60 and 70% of the time you're going to get to cast this for 1 mana, in which case it's just a 1 mana instant speed kill a creature, like a good creature. -3/-3 kills most things, and a lot of times you're going to be able to use it as a combat trick, and getting that for 1 mana is crazy. A lot of times that's 2 mana.
What do you think about the Snowmelt Stag? Have you seen that card?
The blue one?
Yeah. I think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think it's if the set winds up being a set that goes longer, I think you'll actually be quite happy with it.
And so for the listeners, this is it's 3 and a blue for a 2/4 or 2/5 vigilance, but it says during your turn this creature is a 5/2 instead of a 2/5, and you can pay 7 to have it unblockable. It's definitely a neat concept.
It is.
It's
unfortunate that it's not when it attacks. Its base power and toughness changes, because I feel like a lot of times it's going to go to your opponent's turn and they'll use that black 1-drop we just talked about.
Yep.
Or a 2 damage spell. Or
like at the end of your turn?
On your turn, yeah.
Yeah.
So that I'm not over the moon about, but it's definitely a neat card.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Dragonstorms. I'm not sure whether or not they're going to be great, but they do
Hmm.
look good.
Yeah.
And that's a cycle of enchantments and uncommon. There's one in each color. We haven't seen the red or the white one yet. But for example, the blue one is one in a blue. And when this enchantment enters, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. And when a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to its owner's hand.
And that's the kind of glue between all of them. They all
Mhm.
bounce back to your hand when you play a dragon, so you get to keep playing them over and over again to get value.
Yeah, and I think like Encroaching Dragonstorm, this set I feel like is going to be a set that sort of card plays better. It's 3 and a green for an enchantment, and when it enters, you search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle, and it has the same static effect as
Bounce.
Roiling Dragonstorm and the other Dragonstorms. The thing about it is, oftentimes when you bounce it, you're not going to feel crazy about it. You're already at probably 6-7 mana then, but I mean, going and getting 2 more lands never hurt anybody. Like
Yeah.
it will
Yeah,
do the
you're not
thing.
wrong.
But I think it would probably be much better if it was a 3 mana enchantment that when you played it, you went and got a land to your hand and a land to the field. I think it would probably be much better then. Maybe problematically better. Maybe that's what it was originally, and then they went, we can't go doing that too liberally. But in green, I think worth noting also is Undergrowth Leopard. It's 1 in a green. It's 2/2
Hmm.
vigilance. With 1 sack this creature, destroy target artifact and enchantment,
They
or
finally made a
target
leopard
artifact
good.
or enchantment. Yeah, but like that type of card typically plays better than you'd expect it to.
Yep.
We've seen it a couple of times. Like 2 mana, 2/2 vigilance is already that's a fine enough stat line for a 2-drop creature
Hmm.
at common, and sacking it to destroy target artifact or enchantment. The artifact part won't come up as much, though. It depends on how good the monuments wind up playing.
Hmm.
So that
For
that
sure.
part may come up on a hedge, but there are a lot of good enchantments in this set. There between
There are,
mythics and
yeah.
rares, there's probably going to be something like 20 good enchantments in the set. So it's going to wind up having a lot more targets than I think you'd expect it to,
For
or than
sure,
it
yeah.
would in a regular set.
Well, and I think even like recently, I think in just in recent years, I think those kinds of effects have made a resurgence. I think they've just started to print a more balanced amount of good permanents in each category.
Yeah,
And so those kinds of effects have just, I think, went up in general.
they've gone better. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, usually the common wisdom was, just avoid them at all costs
Hmm.
because they weren't that good unless it was like an enchantment specific set or an artifact specific set.
Hmm. And also, like I said, 2/2 vigilance for 2 isn't an embarrassing stat line to
No,
help save it.
no, it's not.
In white, Stormplane Detainment is probably going to play as well as that card always plays.
Yeah,
It's your 2 and a white, enchantment that when it
exile.
enters, exile target non-land permanent until it leaves the battlefield. Uh, yeah, always plays well. It'll probably wind up being white's top common, if not one of white's top commons.
Yeah,
Salt Road Pack Beast, I think, is also going to wind up playing excellent.
the six
Um,
drop.
yes, it's 5 and a white for a 4/3, and it has this spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control, and when this creature enters, draw a card. Uh, I think this is substantially better than this type of card typically is.
You know what I'm really mad about though?
What's up?
Why isn't it a camel?
Yeah, other people have kicked up a stink about that too.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna kick up a stink about it because camels are cool. There's a nice little subset of very few camels subtypes across Magic history, and they
Yeah.
need to give us more camels.
Yeah, I think
I'm putting my
their
foot down.
justification was like beasts are a pretty like
Then make
prominent
it a
side
beast
element of
camel.
Tarkir. Yeah, I agree. Camel beast, something.
Yeah, something like
But
that.
like Argivian, I can't think of the name of it. But from Dominaria United is the last, I'd say, like defensively good iteration of this type of card, where
Yeah,
it's a 6 mana white card, but it costs 1 less for each creature you control, and that typically makes up for it. But adding draw a card to that is pretty wild.
pretty bussin' for sure.
Like
Yeah,
this is going to be you're probably going to play it for somewhere between 3 and 4 mana
yeah.
in most of your white decks, and 4 mana for a 4/3 that draws you a card is really good at common. Like if you're playing this for 4, you're very happy.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the not the floor, but close to it.
Yeah.
There's going to be times where you play this card for 1 mana, and 1 mana 4/3 draw you a card is really good. I think this card's going to wind up playing like a C plus,
Well,
maybe a B minus.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. While we're talking about 6-drops, what do you think of the Durgar Island Dragon? This is a 5 and a blue 4/4 with flying in Ward 2, but it also has Omen, instant, tap up to 1 target creature, draw a card.
Yeah, this is another. It's one of those examples of the dragon side of it's not phenomenal. It's good, like 6 mana for a 4/4 flyer with Ward 2.
You'd play it in some decks.
You'd play it in some decks, but the instant part of it's actually, you know, quite good. It's a really good tempo play. You're not out of card. Man, this card, I would have preferred them to have made this card uncommon and the instant side have put a stun counter on it.
Yeah, right.
It would have been much, much better.
But
you're going to play this in your spell slinging decks. Like in your Jeskai decks that care about your instants, you're going to play it. Yeah. I just don't know how highly you're picking it.
Yeah, you'll probably be able to get it pretty late, I'd imagine.
Mm-hmm. But it's completely defensible on both sides.
Well, and what'll be cool about it too is you can load your deck with like 3 of them, and it's not really that big of a downside to have them in your hand early.
Mm-hmm. While we're in blue, Riverwalk Technique also looks good. That's probably going to wind up being one of blue's best commons. It's 3 in a blue for an instant. Choose one. Counter target non-creature spell, or the owner of target non-land permanent puts it on their choice at the top or bottom of their library.
Yeah.
That card almost always plays well with just the top mode.
Right.
Having the additional element of counter target non-creature spell, having it also be negate.
Yep.
When it does come up, it's going to feel huge, and when it doesn't come up, you're not going to notice at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So do you think Singing Bell Strike's gonna be good? The Ringing Strike Mastery. It's 1 mana for an enchantment, and it says enchant creature. When this aura enters, tap it, and enchanted creature doesn't untap on its controller's untap. And like Singing Bell Strike, you can pay mana. This time it's 5 to untap target creature.
Yeah, I think this is just going to be good enough.
Well, and this is also in the late game. Pay 1 mana and just give a creature vigilance if you need to. Yeah.
I think we're past the time where you can do that. Every now and then you'll do that. But whereas in cons, every now and then you do that, divide that by like 3. And I think that's the amount of every now and then you'll do that nowadays.
Yeah, I think that's pretty
I don't think you can afford to have a card in your deck that says, hey, here's the mana to give a creature vigilance for 5 mana every time you want to swing.
Yeah.
But on its face, I think it'll be good enough.
It's a good
recently we've
play.
been seeing a lot of one drop blue enchantments that are quasi to pretty decent removal, and they've all played well. So I think Ringing Strike Mastery is going to play pretty well.
It's no Unable to Scream though.
No, in some cases it's going to be better because it doesn't leave them with a chump blocker, but. Yeah, no, if this set winds up being the sort of set that goes long, I think you... But then again, I don't know. It hits their big threats. But it doesn't take away their abilities.
Yep.
I don't know.
It's tough. It's
I don't know.
It's either
maybe it is worse than Unable to Scream. I think it's good. I think it's probably going to be like a C- level removal spell.
I think so too, yeah. Yeah. It's not going to be premium, but you'll take it if you need it.
Speaking of which, we haven't really seen any hard removal spells yet.
That's a good point.
I'm sure we will.
I'm sure we will, yeah. Well, and with all of these bomby, big, fat boy creatures, like, there's gotta be some hard removal.
Yeah, I'm sure. And like I said, we talked about Stormplane Detainment, the enchantment, and we talked about Caustic Exhale, but I don't know. We're a little removal shy, but typically we get more of that in the common and uncommon level anyways.
There is a rare that exiles a permanent, but it's really a rare. Yeah, it's inevitable defeat. It's Mardu colors and 1 colorless. For an instant, the spell can't be countered and exile target non-land permanent, and its controller loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. That's
Excellent.
awesome. Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. I would love to play this in standard. Honestly,
Now, we were talking a little bit about Lion Weight before the podcast started, and I feel like it's worth mentioning again here.
I agree.
What a card! If we're
It's
talking
so
about
sweet.
like these cards, because they're uncommon and they're just all 3 of the colors within a wedge. We've only seen Skirmish Rhino and Lion Weight so far. I suppose we've seen Rakshasa's Bargain
Mm-hmm.
as well, so it's potential that we're going to get a cycle of the hybrid mana ones as well. But Lion Weight is multicolor, so black, blue, and green for sorcery. It's return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and Lion Weight deals damage equal to that card's power to target creature, which is it's just great. Like this is one of the better like resurrect regrowth cards we've seen
Yeah.
for limited. It's really good. If your opponent ever gets to play this and remove, say, even like a 3-drop,
Mm-hmm.
you feel miles behind.
To me,
It's so much value.
this card is the most impressive from a design perspective out of all the cards in this set, and it's just so simple and elegant, and it asks something of you, but not like terribly much. Also, just wanted to point this out. It has some sweet flavor text. It says, "Some paths through the Gurmag swamp are deserted for good reason."
Yeah.
And
Do you think that dove is actually gonna eat that crocodile? It's been lying in wait. It's the ambusher.
Oh, for sure, yeah,
That would be
100%.
sweet.
That would be sweet.
Also worth mentioning because I feel like blue green has some good lines in this set already so far from what we've seen. Auroral Procession is blue and a green for an instant, and it's just return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Not permanent, not creature, not instant or sorcery. Any card you want. You get a land if you want. It's regrowth at instant speed.
Yeah.
Which is something trying to think of the last time we've ever seen something like that, and I don't know if we have. Yeah, just an absolutely excellent card. Being able to just get whatever bomb you want back, or get your card draw spell back at instant speed. The instant speed is really what throws it over the top.
Yeah,
you can do this on your
crazy.
opponent's instep after holding up a counter spell or a removal spell,
and then play whatever you get back next turn.
And this set so far from what we've seen does look not insanely bomby, but bomby enough that you're going to be getting back good cards.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you get back a Lion Weight from your graveyard and get something else back to your hand and kill another one of their creatures, like that's a good line.
You're happy with that. Did you read the flavor text on this one?
The teamers celebrate the end of the unbroken night with stories, dances, and feasts. They gather to witness the first flight of dawn as the land sings in harmony.
That's pretty sweet.
No, I feel like part of like the set has lasting power of Tarkir as a plane boils down to the fact that all 5 of the clans that they designed are really engaging and really interesting.
They are, yeah. Just
and they're all different enough from each other, and they all play differently enough.
Yep.
And they're all cool in their own way, and they're all engaging with a different sort of player in a cool way. Whereas
and then boom, dragons.
And then boom, dragons. And you look at Ravnica, and there are guilds that nobody really cares about. And then there are guilds that everyone loves, but some just fall by the wayside. Same thing like Capenna, I quite like from a world building perspective.
Right.
But the clans don't feel like super distinct in Capenna, whereas they do here.
In Capenna is just everything a mob, like the mob from.
They're all the mob, but they're just like slightly different flavors of the mob. They're different families, which could have been really neat if you distinguish them more.
Yeah. Sorry, Blake. This is the real controversial question. What do you think about the full arts? They're if you haven't seen these, I'd look them up. I think they're kind of neat. I think they're definitely a swing. They're all just a close-up on a dragon's eye, and the mana symbol for the land is the pupil of the eye.
I like the idea. They look a little too anime for me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like the blue one, and I like the red one,
I just wish they'd made like
and I
the
don't
art
know.
for them a little more severe.
Yeah, I mean the white one's pretty baller. Like he's
The
got
white
like a
one's cool.
scarred eye around or
The
scar
waist
around his
is
eye.
neat.
The waist is
Um,
definitely neat. I think the waist is the best one.
yeah, and the swamp looks pretty good too. But like the green one and the blue one look like they're from
They're
a
kind of
different
nice.
game altogether. Like it doesn't really look like magic art.
I don't understand why the green eyeball is so circular. It's kind of
Yeah, it's
disturbing.
barely an eyeball.
It's kind of disturbing.
But since you brought up lands, it brings me to my bugaboo of the show, and I guess I wouldn't call it a bugaboo because it's something I feel like is going to be very beneficial to a lot of people
What's a bugbear?
because it's like something that gets on your nerves. It's a chip
Oh,
on your
okay.
shoulder.
Okay.
Um, but this, if you're new to drafting or you're still learning in the drafting environment and you want to become better, I've got a feeling that this is going to be a great set for you to figure out how to draft properly. I
Mhm.
think it's going to be a somewhat difficult set.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be a little bit complex of a set, but it's going to highly reward you drafting the way you should and
Sure.
playing the way that you should.
And
And it's
building
going
your
to
mana
highly
bases
punish
the way you
you
should.
for not doing so. Which brings me to the fact that I think all of the tricolor lands, the reprints from Cons of Tarkir, are going to be B minuses, and like a
Oh
strong
yeah.
B minus. I feel like you're
Oh
going to be
yeah.
picking them as a B minus.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree.
And for people who didn't play the original Cons block, if you open your pack one, pick one, and your your uncommons and your rares and your commons, you're like, I don't know, man. None of this looks great. But you have a tri land, take the tri land.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if your pack one, pick two doesn't look great in any of what you can pick, but there's a dual land, or God forbid, another tri land in it, take
Take
the tri
another
land.
Triland, yeah.
You can very easily, and again, this could wind up being like a blitzkrieg fast aggro format, in which case you may not be able to get away with this sort of thing. But I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it too.
And you can just go through pack one, taking as many of these lands as you can find.
Yeah.
And you can very healthily be a 5-color deck.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take them all in the first pack, everyone else is going to be screwed.
Yep.
So they're not going to be taking the tricolor good cards because they won't have the mana base to support them. Because guess what? You took all of the lands in pack one.
Yep.
While they were busy trying to take whatever cards they were going to try and build their deck around, you've got a great mana base now. And whenever there aren't any cards in the pack that are powerful enough to take, you just take the land again.
Yep.
You just continue to shore up your land base, and then come mid pack 2, early pack 2, and definitely pack 3, you will get enough power.
Yep.
Every now and then that plan will fall through, but
Yep.
I'm calling it now. Unless this winds up being a very fast format, 5 colors back on the menu.
And we love it when 5 colors on
At
the
the
menu.
very least, 4 colors back on the menu.
Yeah. No, at the very least. Yeah.
There's going to be times where you just don't get an incentive to be in 5 color, and I think those are going to be the times where you're 4 color, not because you can't splash properly, but because you don't get the reason.
Yeah. No, I definitely see that. I'm really also hoping that we see more Wooburg things in this set. And reasonably costed Wooburg stuff. Because I mean, it's like you've said before. Like, if I have a creature that's just Wooburg 5 mana, it should probably be like a 7/7, right? At the very least, or 6/6 at the very least.
I think 7/7 is the base stat line they should be working. And I get that they don't want to do that for constructive purposes. I get it.
I mean,
but Standard's dead.
At the same time, why would they not want to? Like, even in Commander, if I pay 5 mana for a 7/7 and I have to pay 1 of each color, that's not actually that good in Commander.
Yeah, that's not that good, but I don't think they have this sort of self-control to just print a 5 mana 7/7. They're going to give it other abilities.
No, for sure, but like, I'm just saying, like, it's not like they need to stop being that careful about Wooburg. It's not that good. Like, paying 1 mana of every color is one of the most insane costs you can pay in Magic.
For sure. a lot of times if you have it be a 5-drop, one of each color, in limited it's going to play more like an 8 or a 9 drop.
Yeah.
Like you're almost never getting that turn 5 unless you really put the effort into making your deck work towards that, in which case you're probably making your deck weaker.
And if you do that, though, you should absolutely get paid off for it.
Now, speaking of which, what do you think of Dragon Brood's Relic?
Let's see, which one's that?
It's 1 in a green. It's
Oh,
an
yeah.
artifact, and it has Springleaf Drum
Mhm.
text, which is, you tap it and you tap an untapped creature you control, add 1 mana of any color, which on its face is fine. You're not over
Yeah.
the moon about it. It's a
Right.
mana rock at 2 at uncommon, but you're not excited.
Sure.
But it also has the ability of Wooburg and 3 colorless. To sack it, create a 4/4 dragon creature token named Reliquary Dragon that's all colors. It has flying, lifelink, and when this token enters, it deals 3 damage to any target. You may activate this only as a sorcery.
And to be clear, it's not the second ability is not tap. Doesn't cost tapping it, so it can tap for itself to pay the cost.
Mm-hmm.
I think it like the immediate card I went to was the card in Kaldheim, the 2 mana enchantment that went and got you a land, and then it had a 5-color sack ability to get a bunch of things.
Yeah. Something World Tree, Path of the World Tree.
Path of the World Tree. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But I think this one is a bit worse than Path of the World Tree. And I think for a 4/4 dragon with flying and lifelink, that when it enters, you get to Lightning Helix, I think it should probably cost 2 less.
I don't know about 2 less.
I
1
think,
less, I feel like, is where it should, because Path of the World Tree was 7 mana to activate as well.
yeah, and I guess if it was 2 less, it would really kind of be 3 less because it
Yes.
can tap for itself.
Tap for, yeah.
So, yeah.
And which I think would be too good at 5 mana.
Yeah, so if I really do think it should be 1 less though, for sure.
Yeah, and we talked about before we started the pod that really I would have preferred it be 1 mana more and you just get a second dragon.
Yeah.
And maybe they each deal 2 damage to any target instead of 3.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Because then it would play a lot like that Angel from Dominaria United. That when you kicked it, and it had flying and lifelink, and when you kicked it, for each time you kicked it, you got to Lightning Helix, but I think it was for 2 something.
Yeah.
So if you kicked it for the full cost, you got to deal 4 to something, gain 4. I think that would be pretty good if you could get 2 4/4s, or heck, even if it was 2 3/3 dragons with flying and lifelink, and deal 2 each to something you gain 2. I mean, that would almost be a Wormcoil engine.
Sure. That's fair.
Like I could really see that, and that would be a really big incentive for going 5 color.
Yeah.
And for taking it early and trying to do the thing.
Well, so given that it doesn't cost 1 less and it's 8 mana including Warburg to get a 4/4 flying lifelink with a lightning helix on enter. I kind of think whether this card is going to make it or not depends on the other Wooburg cards in the set. Because, like, if they come out with a decent suite of Wooburg cards that are just really good, on their face, this is going to be a way to get to those other cards, and then in the late game, when you don't have anything else to do with your Wooburg mana, you have a way to turn this into value. So you're not going to mind as much when you're sacking it for 8 mana because you've already done good Wooburg things already.
Yeah. I think this is going to be more a reward for being in the Wooburg deck than a reason to be in the Wooburg deck.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
It's going to help you get there. And also,
it'll be an enabler
worth noting, you're likely, if you're building the Wooburg plan, you're likely going to be the only one at the table that wants this.
Yep. Yeah.
Because Springleaf Drum for 2 mana isn't great.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But one that fixes one of your 5 colors is pretty good.
Do you think they should just start being more okay with just printing a Wooburg, say just 5 color card at uncommon?
Yeah.
Instead of it always has to be a rare
Yes.
or a mythic.
Absolutely.
I think so too.
I mean,
At
I just
least
think they
one
should put more
every couple
Wooburg
of
everywhere.
sets. Yeah. More reasons.
More Wooburg, better
Like
Wooburg.
March of the Machines, I think, did a really great job with its 2 Wooburg cards because they were both good.
Yeah.
Like Omnath was good. He wasn't insane,
Right.
but he was good. Invasion of Alara was
Was
really,
really
really good.
Yeah.
If you put in the effort to be able to play it, it was good. And that's what Wooburg should be. If you are diminishing your deck's consistency for the power of your Wooburg cards, they should be powerful enough to justify it. Like, if it's a Wooburg rare or a mythic, it should be one of the better cards in the set if you resolve it. It should be A-, I think, at the floor.
Man.
And I don't think they are often enough.
Man, talking about Invasion of Alara makes me want a return to Alara.
Yeah, we'll get one eventually.
We will.
I read a rumor thread earlier this week, worth
Okay.
noting, because I figured you'd like it.
Okay.
That the return to Arcavios is going to be, because in the storyline for this set, Jace goes to the meditation realm, and he accidentally busts Bolus out, but he's trying to take Ugin's little gem so he can like rewrite reality and undo all the nasty stuff that's happened for the past 5 years.
Oh God, they're gonna reboot the timeline again.
So the theory is that like Jace is gonna make like his own little universe.
Oh.
And it's gonna be like was it not time shift, time plane? What's
Spiral?
the Yeah, it's gonna be like time spiral, and sets and archetypes are gonna be kind of swapped up in it.
Oh.
And that's why in the return to Arcavios, instead of it being Strixhaven, it's gonna be an alternate version of the plane where it's Hexhaven, and it's the other 5 colleges. Which are the other 5 color pairs.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Yeah, and there's talk about like instead of it being a black Liliana, it'll be a white Liliana, and you know they'll kind of swap some things over. And I went, I don't know if that's true, but if it is, that's pretty good.
Sick.
Because I mean they're more than likely going to do that anyways, as far as the colors go when they go back to Strixhaven. So what a neat way to do it.
Well, and for anyone who doesn't know the history behind the whole time spiral thing, time spiral in that entire block was kind of devoted to let's mess with the color pie. And so that's where we got cards like Harmonize, green into colorless for draw 3 cards, or like there's some other, just I guess Damnation also comes from that block. Black
Instant?
Huh?
Is Harmonize an instant?
I think it's a sorcery.
Okay, that's better. I was about to say, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and that's where we got Damnation as well. You know, they gave Black a Wrath of God.
Yeah.
I don't know if Day of Judgment comes from there.
Well, I was saying they gave Black
a Day of Judgment.
It's the same thing as Wrath of God.
Yeah, fair. But yeah, so they messed with the color pie. They kind of gave other colors, the mechanics that they wouldn't usually give them. So I think that would be sick. Especially, I mean, we've just kind of been like everything's felt stagnant for a long time. It doesn't feel like they've shaken things up in quite a while. So I think that would be a good way to do that.
I'm a very stringent advocate for like remain pretty adherent to the color pie.
I do too. Yeah,
I like
the color pie is a very positive thing
like what
for the
it
game.
does. That being said, once every decade, them doing something like a time spiral, I think is healthy for the game.
Exactly.
I think it's neat. Like the fact that Mana Tithe exists, I like.
Yep.
Like I think that's cool.
Well, and it's
like I think it's innovative, and it forces you to rethink the way you want these colors to work. And so long as you only do it every 10 years or so,
right?
You know, no harm, no foul.
Well, and it's kind of, if you do it every 10 years, it's kind of a payoff for being so conservative in between.
It's like we've been strict for all this time, and now we get to do the cool thing.
Yeah,
and then we go back to being strict for all this time. Now we get to do
you got to eat your vegetables for a while, and then now you've got this sick pie in front of you, like just freshly baked, and you're ready to just.
I think your mic came out.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, you just cut off in the middle.
I made a like like licking my fingers sound. I don't know if
Oh,
it
I
came
see. It
through.
didn't come through.
Oh, okay. Rip.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay. Theater of the mind, people.
Yeah, theory of the mind,
But
exactly.
yeah, I know there's a lot of controversy in the community surrounding the Universes Beyond sets and like their upcoming legality and all the various formats. And like I'm with the people. I don't
Yeah,
think it's good for the brand overall.
yeah.
I think you're alienating a lot of your
Too
player
many.
base. But that being said, the last year's worth of sets within the Magic universe superstructure
Yeah,
have been great.
the
I've
thematics.
been
Yeah.
very happy with how they've designed them,
Mm-hmm.
how they've played,
Yep.
the thematics for the most part. And this next year's worth of sets that do have to do with the Magic IP, I'm stoked for. The
Yep.
sci-fi set looks great. Returning to Lorwyn, I'm so about, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
Going back to Arcavios is neat. Like I think all of those things are really, really sweet, and I feel like it's important to try and focus on the positive things. Like
Yep.
I'm more excited for this set probably than I have been for any set, maybe ever.
Maybe
Like
ever.
I said,
Yeah. Fair.
Tarkir was my first set. I'm excited to go back, and I started playing again back when the D&D set dropped.
Yep.
And I really liked March of the Machines. I really like Dominaria United. There's been a lot of I like Duskmourn a lot. There's been a
Oh,
lot of great
Dustworm was
sets, but I feel like
sweet.
there's something intrinsically Magic the Gathering about Tarkir
Yeah.
and the
No,
way
for
it's
sure.
designed. It feels like a set that only exists within the Magic universe
Yeah.
because it is so like innately magic. All of
It
the
is.
colors
Yeah.
and the wedges feel like they really do represent their colors and they feel
Yeah.
distinct. And I feel like whenever they hit that lightning in a bottle, it works.
Yeah.
Same thing with original Strixhaven; those colleges work.
It's also
And I feel like it's important. It's very very easy to mine other IPs, and I don't have a lot of respect for it.
yeah.
But again, just stay positive. We've got
Yeah.
our Tarkirs,
We got
we've
our
got our Lorwynds, we've got
Tarkirs.
our Strixhavens.
That's big facts.
We'll
We'll
and,
draft
and
some
the thing is,
Spider-Man for a while, but
yeah, we'll draft some Spider-Man for a while, but we're not losing any of those sets.
no, we're not.
We're not moving towards there being 5 universes beyond and 2 regular Magic sets a year.
Yeah.
Like it's still predominantly Magic IP, so just don't get mired down in it. Like I'm not excited about the fact that I'm gonna have to look at the previews for and legitimately analyze the Final Fantasy set to be able to play it competitively because there's going to be arena opens and there's going to
and
be
you
arena
don't play
directs
them.
for it, and I'm going to play them,
Yep.
and I'm going to play the format. I hope the format's good. But like Final Fantasy, and I'm a Final Fantasy fan, it's not like Lord of the Rings where it kind of
No.
fits the Magic mold.
Yeah.
And there are some, like I'm a big Avatar fan. I love The Last Airbender. And it kind of fits the Magic mold, but I
A
still
little
go,
bit.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Spider-Man most definitely doesn't.
Right.
And it's I'm curious to see whether in 1 or 2 years time they maintain course on keeping their legality and standard and modern
Well,
and everything else along the lines.
well, and like you were talking about mining other IPs, like I mean that's a well that ends too. Like
Hmm.
at a certain point, like what are they gonna do? Come out with Spider-Man 2? Like I don't know. At that point, like that would get really frustrating.
Yeah,
Um.
no, for sure. And I feel like I was fine, and I know it was a gateway drug, but back when Ikoria came out, they had alternate versions of the cards
That was a
that
gateway
were like
drug, wasn't it?
Godzilla and
Godzilla,
this
that
and
was
that.
whack.
And
It was
that
so
I'm fine
cool.
with
Yeah.
because the cards, the original cards, are Magic cards.
Yeah.
They're
They just have a
characters from
different
Magic, and
name.
and a different art, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it in the special, not the special guest, the
The Secret
secret
Layers.
layers,
Yeah.
all that stuff. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the Universes Beyond sets. I just don't know why
They have to
it's being
mix them.
integrated.
Yeah.
It feels so strange. It
Well,
feels
and
so unwarranted.
well, and what would be cool too is if there was like a Universe Beyond format. Like where
Yeah,
you
they should have just made a format that was
Yeah.
beyond, and it
Right.
was all the sets from the universe beyond
Yeah. And then you would
titles, and
and then could have our cake and eat it too.
it would be neat too because it would be a very limited pool of sets to start with, and
Right.
I
Yeah.
imagine would see some really really interesting decks
Yeah.
build up around those. But I just don't think this was the way.
I don't
I
think
feel
this is
like
the way.
I feel like it's a very short term investment because, like you said, it's front loaded. The
Yep.
vast majority of the IPs that Magic fans would like to see, they're going to see, and then 2 years down the road, what are you doing?
Yep.
Like
And then the share
what universe have you ever modded?
holder price is going to go down, and
Hmm.
then they're going to be screaming at each other about how to get it back up, and
Yeah,
they're just going to be flailing over how to recover from the fact that they can either print another Spider-Man set or not do that and lose
yeah,
market share.
yeah. Something's going to have to give.
Something's going to have to give.
For me, it's the fact that it's not. I think it's made more people mad than it's made people happy.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, I don't think they're bringing in enough people with it to change.
That's
But
the
again,
thing
I
too.
brought up this whole note to say, stay positive.
Yeah.
Enjoy these sets. They're going to be sweet. I feel like
Tarkir is going
this
to be sweet for sure.
is going to be a really cool set. And even if it's not as good as the original Tarkir, if it's close, then I'll be happy. If it's Ikoria levels of good, I'll be happy. And from what we've seen so far of it, I think it can at least hit that mark.
I hope it's good as original Cons of Tarkir.
God, what if it was better?
Oh my god, if it was
It would be
better,
so nice to have a set that we could just definitively say
this
this is
was
the
the
all
all
timer.
timer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be sweet. Um, with that, I think we should start wrapping things up. One thing I wanted to bring up before we ended the show though is just a little report on how we did. We did our last episode on the Arena Direct, coaching you guys on how to win some boxes, how to stack that closet with some booster
The
boxes.
Magic merchandise. Yeah.
Yeah, and me and Blake took home what about 1,700 worth of sealed product.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I won 8
8 boxes,
boxes
and I won
and Dalton
6.
won 6.
Yeah,
So,
so we got 14 boxes between us.
yeah,
And you
an
can
abundance.
too.
Yeah. It's, and the thing is, we played a lot.
Yep, played a
And
ton.
there were probably 1 or 2 uh, runs
Boxes we
between
could have
me and
won,
Dalton that we could have won
but
and
didn't.
we didn't
Yeah,
because of our play or misplays or just playing a little too aggressively. And
right.
that stuff's going to happen. Just be patient with it. Work your way through it. Play to your outs. There was my last set of boxes I won. I started with a loss, and then I proceeded to play every single match after that by the skin of my teeth.
Yep.
Every single match was brutal,
Yep.
and I almost lost all of them. So don't get too down on yourself. Don't get too out, and
And on
do
top
what you
of
can.
all of that, we also have a little bit of a sick brag that
Oh yeah,
me and between me and Blake, we are what 3-0 against
we're
Ben
3-0
Stark.
against Ben Stark.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are 3-0, and we're 4-0 if you count Dylan, my little brother Dylan's game, which I coached him through to beat Ben Stark.
yeah. He
But
just can't beat us.
we just keep coming up against Ben Stark for some reason. Like I've never played against a Magic player at that level that I know of. I probably have, but I've just never noticed it. But we've came up against Ben Stark 3 times between the two of us, and
And it's always been in like high stakes competitive play.
right, like
Because
the
like
Arena
I beat Ben
Open
Starks in
or
the Modern Horizon 2 Open Day 2.
yep,
And then in this Arena Direct, and
yep,
you also beat him in
in
this
this
Arena
Arena
Direct,
Direct,
and
yeah,
Dylan also beat him in this Arena Direct.
yeah. So
So
Ben Stark, what are you doing, man?
yeah, what are you doing, man?
What are you
I don't
doing?
get it. That being said, I think he's cursing us
Yeah,
because
that's
beating
true.
him seems to be the kiss of death.
All right, we've
Every time
never.
I've beat him, I've
Yep,
not moneyed.
yep,
I've not made any boxes.
yep,
There's something about beating him where you go, well, you got to take your win. You got to take the fact that you just beat a Magic Hall of Famer,
yep.
and yeah, come to think of it, I've I've never lost a round to him. You know?
You've 2-0'd him every time.
Yeah. I mean, in the Arena Direct, there were 1-0s, but in the Arena Open, it was a 2-0.
So if we leave you with nothing, dear
so-
listeners, it's get good, Ben Stark.
Yeah, and we can beat Ben Stark, and so can you.
Yep.
So just be looking for him.
And since you opened the pod, I guess I'll do the sign off.
Sure.
So since it just wrapped up, I just want to go ahead and call it Invincible. Man, that show's good. Oh, it's so incredible. It just warms my heart as a fan of sci-fi and comic book genre. It's so good. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Like, I know a lot of people love The Boys out there, but it's better than The Boys, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And to me, it
I
just
think a
has
lot of
more
that.
heart and soul.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more added complexity. Like The Boys goes hard, and it goes hard in its one way. You know, it's really like in your face, but the character work in Invincible, like they feel like real people with real feelings and emotions and wants and needs, and I mean everything just pops. It's such a 3-dimensional world with 3-dimensional characters, just excellent. And Robert Kirkman, like hats off to you for taking your work that you've already done and then going back and revising it in a way that's more digestible to the layman and honestly just better.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
I think at the end of the day, it boils down to the fact that like The Boys, the show, is substantially better than The Boys, the comic,
right.
and the Invincible show, I think, is a good bit better than the
Right.
Invincible comic, and the Invincible comic is much better than the Boys comic.
Exactly.
So it does have that going for it that its source material is just better.
How do you think Garth
Robert
Ennis
Kirkman
feels
doesn't
about
really
that?
miss. I think Garth Ennis did good for what he could. Garth Ennis's work on The Boys is much more satirical
Yeah.
than Invincible is. Invincible is kind of
Sure, that's fair.
a take on the genre, like Irredeemable, or I'm trying to think of another one where it's like, oh, what if Superman but bad?
Right.
But it's really its own world.
It is.
Whereas The Boys is a satire. Every character in The Boys is a satire
Yep.
of a character in either DC and Marvel, and it's very good in that regard.
Right.
But I do agree with you. I think Invincible is just the much more spirited show of the two.
Yeah. Do you think we're gonna see Spawn in the next season?
Of Invincible?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Because
I feel
apparently
like
he comes up in the
he
comic.
pops up. Yeah, he pops up once or twice in the comic, but just as like a frame or two. Like he pops up in the Invincible War, like he's fighting
Okay.
one of the alternate marks, but he's not like I don't think he ever has any lines.
Well, you know that there's a Spawn movie in like that's about to start production with Jamie Foxx, right?
I didn't know that, but that sounds like it could probably be awful.
Really?
But it can't be worse than the original Spawn movie.
I was gonna say.
I'm not sure if anything can be.
Well, if you're ever looking for an interesting ride, the HBO did a Spawn TV show, and it's directly made by what's his name? Who did Spawn? Todd McFarlane. It's made by Todd McFarlane, and
when was this? Was this from like the early 2000s?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good. Like the animation's really cool. It's hand drawn and kind of like retro. And it's just gut wrenching. Like it's so dark.
Yeah, I mean Spawn's not exactly an optimistic
No,
piece of
yeah.
material.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
stay frosty, guys.
Yeah. Stay frosty. See you guys next week.
All right, bye.